what's up? This is WWE Superstar John Cena, and you're listening to Brainbuster Radio.
And now from east of the Pacific to west of parts unknown, south of Mars, north of hell, here are the smartest minds in the sport of professional wrestling. This is Brainbuster Radio.
You only learn the way you are inside when life gives you the test. Will you back down, turn and run, or stand up with the best? When your back's to the wall, what will your answer be? Will you run for the door? Will you run out on me? That gets hard. It's no hope for.
How the hell you doing, Brainiacs? Long Island Iced Tea here, ready to talk Pro Graps with you on this, the biggest week in the history of professional wrestling, they're calling it. Why? Because, well, Brainbuster Radio's been back for a while since Survivor Series now, and things just keep getting bigger and bigger. Coincidence? No. We're doing this, and we're doing it together with you, Brainiacs. Here we are, another 1.2 million viewer week and some change. Brainbuster Radio, hotter than ever, and we got Mil Calzones on the unos and doses. Tweet it, read it, tout it, shout it, be all about it at the Brainbusters. And the sultan of social media, a man called Wired, will be right there looking at all your tweets and all that crap. And then we got Vin Man here, who's on limited dates, but decided he wants to collect appearances the rest of 2020, just like Kenny Omega's collecting titles.
I'll tell you something, Long Island. I cannot believe what I am saying, but by God, AEW must-see television. Impact Wrestling must-see television again. And certainly NXT must-see television. And the Royal Rumble right around the corner. A time to be alive in the world of professional wrestling.
It is a great time to be alive. Some would say it's like Brainbuster Radio's booking AEW and Impact and WWE and NXT and NXT UK and New Japan, and I'm not going to say we are, because we don't officially have a pen wired, but those rumors are swirling on the internets. Brainbuster Radio's fingerprints everywhere.
Just, it's like the grease from a child's hand on a nice, clean sliding glass window. That's our prints all over professional wrestling today. And the proof is in social media, Alan, because people are asking, what is BBR and what is their power over professional wrestling?
How are they coming up with this stuff? How are they saying that Impact and AEW would be doing things? How are they saying that Sting would still be relevant in 2020 all these years? And it's just happening. Is it us, or is it just we're just saying what should be happening and other people are kind of wise to what should be going on, or maybe they're listening? So I don't know, Brainiacs. All I know is that we run this damn sport. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but first and foremost, I do want to acknowledge that I love now that all of a Dad Called Wired's references are angry dad references. Fingerprints on a sliding glass door. There he goes. All jokes are officially dad jokes, and you could see a man called Wired and his shirt, and you could see Vin Man's face. You could see my face, my sweet Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse shirt that I got on the Roosevelts.com. They don't even pay me to plug them, but that site's awesome. They got a Hacksaw Jim Duggan shirt I got to get, Vin Man, really good. And, of course, you could see Mil Calzone's face encouraging everybody to watch Stardom on our YouTube channel. Whatever that's called, Wired, you know it.
YouTube.com/X427387, something like that, because we don't have enough followers there yet, but we will. We will get them.
Fuck yeah, we will. We're Brainbuster Radio.
The power that we have, the control.
We run this sport.
We have control as if like a screaming baby in the back of a car makes you pull over. That is the control we have over professional wrestling right now.
And this, Vin Man, this isn't control over the professional wrestling business like how maybe Retribution had control over all the Wi-Fi at SmackDown. This is not that kind of bullshit control. This is more like how like Dusty Rhodes and Pat Patterson behind the scenes had control over really what was the most creative shit going on. We're trying to carry that torch into 2021 and beyond.
We've lost those great minds in the sport of professional wrestling. But that doesn't mean that their legacy can't be carried on with Brainbuster Radio each and every week.
Hell no. Each and every single damn week. Just wait till Triple J's back. He told me he's going to flat out come up with a brand new kind of match, and he guarantees we'll see it in either AEW, WWE, or Impact Wrestling, or maybe all of them by the end of next year. He told me that.
Loser loses his socks match, or tuxedo match, but just with socks. So whoever loses their socks loses.
Whoever loses
the
can
Mark
have
told
some
me,
cold feet.
Moose the Mark told me he had a match that was whoever drops their laptop off of their chest while laying in bed match. But that's not going to – that I don't think will happen. I'm more into what Triple J's told me, but he's not here this week. Triple J is celebrating the holidays all month long, Vin Man. He's celebrating hard because he knows come January 4th and then January 5th and then January 6th, he's got not only 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom, but now New Year's Evil. He is trying to get his body ready.
And New Year's Smash.
Then you got who's going to be – I mean, I'm always looking to try to smash on New Year's, but now everybody could smash on New Year's thanks to AEW. I cannot wait for it.
There is a lot of pro wrestling coming at you in 2021. It's coming hot. It's coming hard, and I can't wait to get involved with it. It's going to be
a little bit of the bubbly.
Exactly.
Oh, it's going to be definitely worthy of drinking some champagne and tossing back some whiskeys going into what's going to be a much better year than this was, Brainiacs. But hey, on the tail end of this year, you got Brainbuster Radio returning. And what the hell's causing all this? What's causing all this? But Kenny Omega this week being on 2 big-time wrestling shows, AEW champion in a bus on Impact at the end of the show. And I'm not yawning thinking about that, Vin, man. I know you're probably tired because you were up later watching all this pro wrestling this week. Maybe that's why. But who the hell would have thought you'd see the AEW champ on Impact? He wasn't in the Impact zone, so that we're not at that level yet. But he was there in a bus talking to the guy who books the show.
It was something to see. I didn't quite comprehend everything that's going on. You know, the relationship between Mr. Callis and Mr. Omega, and the relationship between them, and Mr. Omega's relationship is with Impact Wrestling. And I'm not quite sure we got more answers.
You texted me this. What's there not to understand?
Well,
why? Can you try to
does he have
explain
a
this
contract?
to
I mean, how could he? You can't just show up on another person's show.
It's Don Callis books that show. Don Callis is like an uncle to Kenny Omega. He brought Kenny Omega to the show. What's there not to understand?
Know that the growth of WCW happened because people who weren't supposed to be on that show ended up being on that show. Like this happens.
But he doesn't own.
He even called himself Lex Luger. He even made the reference to Lex Luger, who famously did it on the first Nitro.
That was a different situation. Beautiful. Lex Luger wasn't under contract with anybody.
Well, how do you know?
Yeah, Kenny Omega, as far as we know, is under contract with AEW.
Maybe he has an out clause.
I mean, if you're Tony Khan right now, I mean, how could you stand for something like this? You're
maybe
champion.
They're on a handshake deal, and Kenny Omega's like,
Well, it wouldn't surprise me with the people running that company if everybody was on a handshake deal.
Don Callis, Kenny Omega laid it out perfectly, I thought, as to what was going on, and it was just years and years of plotting to take over the wrestling world, making history. I love it. He's got the new catchphrase. Some people make matches, some people make money, and some people make history. I think that's what he was saying. He said it on both shows.
Memory,
and it's beautiful.
I think is what he was talking about.
Memories, yes. either way, making history is what it's all about. This was history this week. We saw history made. We saw Kenny Omega. It was kind of like a night the line was crossed to me. The line, the boundaries, if you will, were crossed by Omega and Callis. Now the doors are open for all sorts of stuff to go down, for Kenny Omega to collect more belts, for pro wrestling fans to love the sport in a new and exciting different ways. It's just such a thrilling week. But then you also have people like Moose the Mark who refuse to be on this week's show because he says, I just can't watch if there's no fans. And if you really need fans in the stands, don't watch Impact because they don't have anybody there. It's totally studio wrestling. But hey, NWA shows in the late 80s had barely any fans in the stands. All they had were like flags for all the different nations for some reason, even though it was the National Wrestling Alliance. But you'll see a Swedish flag above the ring. I don't know. But this was great. Kenny Omega did the thing too, Vin Man, which is really why everybody tuned into Access TV.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what that thing is, but
Milk Calzones, can you play Vin Man the thing?
Goodbye, mwah, and good night.
Oh my God, it's so great.
Bang!
Oh, it was beautiful.
I'm just not impressed. I'm not impressed by it.
That's like a John telling a hooker goodbye at night, and then bye. Like a horror movie.
That'd be a badass horror movie line. Home Alone 4. Good night. And goodbye. You filthy animal. Bang!
I think that already exists. Home Alone 4.
Home Alone 5. Milk Calzones, play that awesome scene from Home Alone 5.
That may exist too.
Mwah, and good night.
Oh my God, it's so great.
Bang!
And
what is that
speaking
sound,
of,
though?
it's Don Callis next to him, just getting really.
It sounds like Don Callis is doing something else to Kenny Omega. So what's the true bang at the end of this?
Well, because whatever Don Callis was doing after that, it's all good because Kenny Omega's the cleaner, so everything was fixed in that big bus afterwards. So Home Alone 6, and speaking of Home Alone, I mean, I expect Macaulay Culkin to probably be involved maybe next Christmas season with AEW, seeing how they're getting crossover superstars now. Kenny Omega goes to Impact. Impact draws a bigger rating in the demo than NXT. Wired is super pumped about that. And then you've got AEW drawing over 1 million viewers. Highest moment of the show. The highest moment of the show. I'm just talking about what everyone's talking about. You know, Long Island Iced Tea's watching it all, doesn't give a flying fuck about any of those numbers.
Talk about what everyone else is talking about when we created what everyone else is talking about. We should be sitting here talking about what we want to see happen.
Because I want everyone. It's called context, and you know all about context, Wired, because context everyone's talking about these big numbers. But let me tell you what they actually need.
Are they big numbers?
I don't care about them. They're big, huge, giant. Huge numbers. They're like the Raquel Gonzalez of numbers, what AEW did. And Shaq was the highest rated moment of the night, talking shit to Brandy Rhodes. Kind of when they one day talk about the AEW women's division, which I know a lot of people think is super far away from being very good. They're going to say, well, Shaq was someone who really helped build that division by setting up this Jade and Brandy Rhodes feud. So look for one day an AEW women's main event on a pay-per-view. We should give a shout out to Shaq for what he did this week.
Wired, was this episode from Dynamite? Was this just done, as a popper rating for a rating sweep?
Oh man!
Or is this something
Crash
that they
TV,
can actually
bro.
sustain?
I texted you all when I saw this, and I was like, "This is just Crash TV. You get 15 segments, something big on each one of them. Like, you can't sustain that kind of entertainment for you gotta afford Shaq. You're never gonna be able to do this. It's just not. It was just come on, Vidman. This is very likely and very close to Crash TV.
Well,
Shaq
Sting
is not hard to book.
Signed the contract.
Shaq is not hard to book. He owes a lot of people at TNT favors. He's 0-1. His wrestling career is another story, but Shaq getting on TV. Plus, who knows? Maybe he's really close with Jade, and he's looking to get her Jade Cargill, get her career going.
I did see on Twitter.
Who's also a giant woman.
Someone tried to compare saying that the AEW women's division was much better than the NXT women's division. Now,
that person's an asshole.
I don't watch AEW, right? We all know this, but I feel like that's a far-fetched stretch. Like they just
very far-fetched
WWE at that point.
No, okay.
It's okay, ladies and gentlemen, to like both and like parts of both. It's very doable.
You could be like me and just like it all. I don't know why you don't just find the joy in it all. But hey, if we're ranking them, AEW's women's division in terms of competitive and really top-notch talent, top to bottom, behind WWE,
How's AEW
and
dark?
further behind NXT, and even further behind NXT UK. But that's just another story that
Probably
I'm
behind
sure Vin
Impact,
Man's
too. I want to say that as well.
Oh, and behind Impact, and Mil Calzones would even probably say behind Stardom. So
yes.
So that in terms of women's division, but then you talk about women's. We also have to, for the women this week, what's causing all this? Raquel Gonzalez. Talking about her before we went on air, Wired. I mean, one war game. Talking about make a name for yourself in a match, and then carrying that momentum over. But then, of course, you still got Rhea Ripley, who won't go away. Is so young, has had all these opportunities, but is kind of like on a downslope just for right now, and everyone expects her to like go away, but she can't go away. She's too good and too young. So Raquel Gonzalez is peaking, as we also have Rhea Ripley coming back on top, and it's going to make for magic in NXT, and that'll probably be, I think, a main event of a takeover for a championship one day in the near future.
Very well see one of them face Io Shirai at New Year's Evil for that NXT Women's Championship, because Dakota Kai is out, Candice LeRae is out. These are all women that didn't survive War Games. Io Shirai was a champion, so now you're down to about 5 people that were in that match.
And what's that say, Vin Man, about size in the War Games match? That's what you're next year. If you're a captain in War Games, I'm getting the biggest people I can get, because that's who's going to make it through that.
You got to have a good mix here for War Games, especially if you're starting that first period, you're going to be in there for a long time. You got to be willing to go. You got a big gas tank. But no, make no mistake about it. A closer like Raquel Gonzalez just made a huge difference in that match, and I firmly believe that whole program was booked just to get her over, and it worked.
You think all of War Games was booked just to get Raquel Gonzalez over?
Yes, and it worked.
It was booked because there was personal issues between Shotzi Blackheart and Candice LeRae. That's why it was booked. And then
I've been talking about Raquel since she was Reina. Let's just be real about all this. I've been talking about
the Queen
Rhea since before she was the Rhea you see now. I was talking to her back when she was wearing the pink and the black. Go back into the tapes and look at it. If you don't believe me, Brainiacs.
It's true. I mean, that's another example of how BBR runs this sport. And I'll give it to you because back then, Mae Young Classic 1, you were all about Rhea. I picked who was my she's the smiling one with the glasses.
Yo ho, yo ho.
No, not Kairi Sane. Yeah, she's got like now she's still in NXT. She's just like a jobber in NXT now. I forget her name. But you picked the right horse back then. No. Yeah, smiling Mercedes.
Remember? I don't know.
No, she's an NXT, like she was like a volleyball player or something. Suki Swami.
I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Sam, that's not her name. It's like Vanessa. No, not. Whatever. Either way, Rhea Ripley, you made that call, Wired. Got to give that up to you. No. She was the one that dances like she's in a Motley Crue video. She's cool. She's hurt. She's tall. Jessica something. Jessie.
Oh, no, you were not on her. Were you really?
Yeah, that was my pick. Yeah, she was my
Kamea.
pick to be a. Yeah, she was my pick for a big breakout star. But it's Rhea Ripley. This is her brutality. So I missed out on that one. But hey, Wired called it. BBR's running this sport. And Vin Man called it way back, I'd say maybe like 3 years ago. He said NXT is going to be main evented consistently by women who are over 6'3". And here we go. Raquel versus Rhea Ripley, which I'm calling probably going to be the feud of 2021. That's my prediction.
I hope.
I think it's something to be said about Vin Man. And Vin Man, I'm going to try to put you over here for a second. Long
You
Allen,
don't need to try. It just happens.
I know, that's true. But Long Allen, you watch everything. So your vision on what's best or what you could watch is kind of blurred.
How's it
Let me
blurred?
get to
I have the
what I'm
most
saying.
accurate vision.
No, I tend to be more biased towards things that make sense versus flippy shit, whatever. I don't care. Vin Man, on the other hand, and and Mil Casones is watching shit from January, so that doesn't even count. Vin Man, on the other hand, he only watches what's good, and so whatever he's watching, you have to actually pay attention to what Vin Man watches. If he goes out of his way, limited appearances, right? If Vin Man takes the time to watch a show, you should too.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I would say Vin Man's watching not what's good, what's big, what's important. That's how you should phrase that.
Some would say
What's
it's
good is
because
what-
Vin Man's
what-
watching it though.
Because if Vin Man was watching what's good, he wouldn't be asking me so many questions about Gallus and everyone on NXT UK.
Ooh, are you on the NXT UK bandwagon now, Vin Man?
I have watched NXT UK. I don't watch it that regularly, given the time difference. But they got a lot of good talent there. That Gallus firm's good. Certainly Imperium, who I'm a huge fan of. I can't wait to see more of those guys. I'd like to see them on this side of the pond. But yeah, I can't get enough of Imperium.
Gallus boys on top.
All right, first of all, Imperium, half of them are in regular NXT or US NXT,
NXT.
so I wouldn't call them.
Not Walter.
The UK champ is still in the UK at least, but Alexander Wolf just lost to Joe Coffey, Vin Man, in what was my match? It's from last week, but everyone needs to watch that match now. Great match, maybe
Some
the
would
best
say
match
the
in
NXT
December.
Cruiserweight champion's still in the UK too, by the way.
Some would say, any person would say if they recognize the Jordan Devlin situation, and I love Santos Escobar, but I don't recognize him as my cruiserweight champion. I recognize him as my lucha champion. That's what I call his championship, is the lucha title, and then Jordan Devlin's the cruiserweight champion because he never lost it.
I'm a big fan of Mustache Mountain as well.
Mustache Mountain. So you missed the Heritage Cup, Vin Man. I highly recommend you go back and watch all of it. British rounds.
We're not all on vacation in Florida watching wrestling all day long.
I'm not on
You
vacation.
do.
This is work.
I sit in front of a computer all day, but I can't watch wrestling. I have to answer emails.
You could have it on in the background. You don't need to hear Nigel McGuinness and
I don't need to
and
hear what we talk
the
about. I don't
English
need to
Vic
watch
Joseph.
What we talk about.
You just have it on. Just have it on, and then whenever you're like, oh, what's a third round in a wrestling match? What does this mean? Why are they doing this? Then you'll turn the volume on and you'll learn something. The Heritage Tournament, so great. Congratulations to A-Kid, who, after he won it, Vidman, if you watch this week's NXT UK, the Supernova Sessions debuted. The first talk show in NXT UK history, hosted by Noam Dar, the top player in all of NXT UK.
How's he do it?
Number 11 of NXT UK. And he said, kid, you did so well. I'm now crowning you Amen. Which was line of the week. Almost as good as Kenny Omega doing the thing. And NXT UK, damn it, you can't say you're watching all the good shit unless you're watching that show. It's so fucking good. And the best part about it, it's 1 hour. It's 1 hour.
Ooh, 1 hour with commercials?
Well, it's on the WWE Network, so no. Well, with
Impact
WWE
is also
Shop.
Impact is also only 1 hour if you remove the commercials.
If you remove the commercials, Impact's 30 minutes.
The Access TV infomercials in between, like the 3-minute long one commercial. Is that what that's?
That depends. A lot of people found out this week there's 2 different Impacts you're watching when you're watching on Tuesday. You're either watching Access or Twitch, and they're 2 totally different shows.
What does that mean?
It's a totally different experience.
I prefer watching on. I've only watched on Twitch, but it was great. I mean, they showed like the commercials were just like highlights of old TNA moments. It was great.
If you watch it on Twitch, it feels like, whoa, this is a really big wrestling show, and the stuff, and look at all the great history of Impact. If you watch it on Access TV, it feels like an infomercial that's just on in between commercials about the Dan Rather show and mysterious rock and roll death shows.
Wait, so the Twitch stream for Impact is sponsored by Impact? Like it's an Impact stream?
Yeah, it's just the Twitch stream of Impact's on Impact's channel, so the commercials are just old Impact matches. And if you've watched it there, you would notice that over the last few months, they would show a lot. Well, before, I would say WrestleMania, if you were watching Impact on Twitch, every commercial was an AJ Styles match. Because they're trying to get the AJ rub because he was all over because of the Undertaker match. But then the last couple months, it's been all Young Bucks. It's been all CM Punk and Christopher Daniels matches. Anybody who's associated with AEW sort of was on the Impact Twitch stream commercial matches. I noticed these things because I watch it all.
I enjoy. They had some good aces and eights footage that I enjoyed. They did have a Kurt. Yeah, I guess it was AJ involved. Kurt versus AJ, I think. Or no, that was a triple threat match, also with Samoa Joe.
So watching Impact is fun either way. I recommend probably the Twitch stream, but watching it on Access TV is fun. Just for the commercials are sillier. And you might find a cool Access TV show you never heard of. And man, half of those shows, if you watch it there, I think you'd watch them.
You're probably right, but there's a lot of content out there to get to.
Real quick, before we get into some more of why BBR runs this sport, your favorite channel Impact's ever been on?
Oh, Spike. Has to be.
Yeah, has to be Spike.
Better than Destination America?
Ooh,
I do like
America
Destination
has that going
America,
RV
but-
show that's really good.
Pop TV was the worst. I'd put Destination America close. It's up there.
Were any of those longer than a year?
Well, it was on
it was
Spike,
on Spike for years.
No, I'm talking about like
Many years.
Destination America and
What about Fox Sports?
horrible. I hate the box, the ticker. I hate all that. I don't like time limits on my wrestling unless it's in a part of the match, British rounds, or a championship or a TV title match. Then you could put a ticker up there. Otherwise, keep me guessing as to where we are at in the time limit draw department. Although JR might argue against that. I've always thought AEW would have the ticker on during matches, but they don't. Did you hear about what JR said to some wrestlers backstage this week in AEW?
No. Who's this? Who's this coming from?
This is coming from AEW superstars who have been clowning JR on Twitter.
What dirt sheet is reporting this?
It's no one. This is coming from wrestlers on Twitter.
Okay.
So JR told them, all you do is go outside, you cluster up like coils, you stand there in a huddle, friends and foes together, side by side, and you catch some leaping idiot going over the top rope, and it never ever wins the damn match.
He's right.
Which JR said this on his podcast forever. So now AEW wrestlers are getting ready for the big 7-on-7 match next week between the Inner Circle and the friends of the best friends.
Oh my
and one
God,
of them,
I can see it now.
Brandon Cutler tweeted out, who will be a part of that match. He said, this Wednesday on Dynamite, 7 versus 7. We're going to go outside, cluster up like coils, stand there in a huddle, friends and foes together, side by side to catch some leaping idiot going over the top rope. Can't wait. 8 p.m. TNT. Hopefully for 1 million viewers. Let's effing go.
Vidman, you're a huge 7-on-7,
Yeah, that is true.
Vidman loves 7-on-7.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of people, that's what they love. They love, flipping outside, and they won't win the damn match either.
Why you sound so sad, Vin, man? You have said some businesses, you've said some promotions should just go full 7-on-7 the entire time.
I know, but I was
you
also
want
told by
AEW?
certain individuals that I didn't know what I was talking about. And guess what? Those individuals are out of a job right now.
We'll see
who
maybe
knows?
after. We'll see maybe after Thursday or after Wednesday night Dynamite. AEW goes full 7-on-7 every single week after that match. I don't know. I'm picking the Inner Circle to win either way because Santana's coming back wired, and when Santana's
Tito?
full force. No,
He
Santana.
didn't even show up for work last week. That was
No,
fun.
actually, well, it was well handled, but actually, in outside of on a shoot, Santana lost his stepdad, and
that's
so
terrible.
when they did the inner circle pose, all the middle fingers in a circle, Ortiz held 2 out, 1 for Santana while he was missing. It was a fitting tribute, beautifully done by probably the best, besides Brainbuster Radio, I'd say the best faction going today. Not the best firm. The best firm is Gallus, because Gallus boys on top, Vin, man. But I don't know. I give it to the Inner Circle, and and Triple J's been telling me that there's a lot of factions and firms out there. We need to clump them all together and rank them top to bottom for 2020, which might be a fun gimmick to do.
Oh, we will eventually.
Who's on? Who are you going to say?
2020 is
Undisputed
not
Era,
over.
Wired.
2020 is
Well,
not
what's
over.
the question? Sorry, I missed the rankings here.
Your top. You don't have to give an official one because we might do this as an actual legit gimmick, but off the top of your head, top faction, firm, or group.
For 2020 or right now, or just going right now?
2020. It's the same thing. We're at the end of the year.
Well, no, because they could have been earlier, but they're not going anymore.
No, currently running and have gone in 2020. Maybe they dissolved and still
That's what
no
I'm
one's
saying.
as good as.
So that's very different than
as-
current. Get your rules
What
straight.
group was going in 2020 that's no longer rolling together?
You're putting me on the spot. This is a fuck year to ask me that question right now because there's a lot going on. But yeah, I have a few of them in my mind. I know what Vidman's number 1 is.
I don't think Vinman knows.
I honestly don't. I really need to think.
Gallus boys on top.
Now, would you consider the people in Raw Underground as a faction or group? Because it seems like they're
Shane
coming out
McMahon in the Raw Underground.
That was the most exciting wrestling of the year, but I wouldn't
I don't
consider
know. It
them
feels
a
like they were a
faction
tight
or a
knit
firm.
group. It was like Fight Club, right? It was the Raw Underground. It was a group of people that came together every Monday to do what they did.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna actually name a group that participated in Raw Underground, and that's the Hurt Business.
Yeah,
I'd
that's why I
say
thought it would be
if I had
number
to,
one.
if I had to say
They're up
right now,
there.
they're my number 1.
Well, actually, with that, let's bring it to headlines real quick. We didn't have this plan, but there is some headlines that I just thought of that we should talk about. This week on Brainbuster Radio Headlines, we have one headline, and that's Vince McMahon sends all the fat guys back down to NXT for training, according to multiple reports. This week, headlines are brought to you by Marburger Vision. Marburger Vision, the number 1 Spanish television channel in the world today, Marburger Vision. And the search
Wouldn't it
on
be
Google for that
Marburger
channel.
Vision?
No, it's Marburger Vision, and you put the accent over the U, the first U, if you're searching it on Google. Marburger Vision. They're our sponsors. They're sponsoring us talking about the fat guys going back to NXT. Keith Lee's one of them, Vin Man. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't hear about this. Keith Lee's going
He's not
back
going to NXT, but he's going back to the PC to train along with Dabba-Kato and Omos and one other big guy that Vince McMahon was not happy about training-wise. And some people are spreading rumors saying it's Bruce Pritchard who's in Vince McMahon's ear about the big guy's work rate and how they work, and he wants to change it. And some people are saying Bruce Pritchard's saying that because he wants to get his brother, Dr. Tom, hired as the head trainer in NXT. I don't know what to believe. All I know is that it was a lot of rumor and talking about these big dudes having to retool, go back down to the farm and get some polish.
Is Vinman's number one favorite wrestler, Shawn Michaels, still the head of training down there?
The head of training?
I don't think he's the head trainer.
I think he is.
Is he number one trainer?
I thought that was Matt Bloom.
Well, they reportedly are sending down Drew Gulak to help these guys retool.
Oh, the PowerPoint presentations that he could put together for those men.
Now you see, Keith Lee, number 138 on my PowerPoint presentation is when you deliver Grizzly Magnum, you need to deliver it with your claws out and to leave a mark on your opponent's chest. It'll be much more effective. I don't know, what could Keith Lee possibly have to work on, Vin, man? He's a perfect wrestler. Size, speed, strength.
You don't need to send him down to NXT to just give him his goddamn music back. Like, that's literally all he needs.
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure what to make of all this.
This is just, I think they're just bored and there's no fans for them to work off of for reactions to critique a guy. They kept the crowd hated it. So they're now just nitpicking. You went out there and you didn't cinch him up high enough on that body slam. What the hell are you doing, Keith?
Maybe they want to get him on their rookie deals still and send him back down. So
it's all ploy.
They don't want to get that service.
They don't want him to go to arbitration.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a great move with
Pittsburgh
Almost
Pirate,
for sure. The Pittsburgh Pirates are running WWE. They're trying to keep Almost on his rookie deal through 2022. He's gotten too much TV time with AJ already. He's been on Raw Underground. He's been on with AJ. He's going to be a veterans deal already. We got to send him back down. That's a good point.
Yeah,
so that's smart.
That could happen. Maybe they just need some. How do I put it? Some more. I don't want to say TV time. More reps in the ring. Learn how to work.
I don't know.
Look,
it's hard whenever you don't have these house shows and you're not making towns.
Vidman, you know
that's
more
true.
than anyone. Who are the big men right now?
Who are the big men?
Braun out. Yeah, Braun's out. He got suspended for punching Adam Pearce or something, headbutting him, right? I think he did.
On Raw.
A couple weeks ago.
After Survivor Series.
Yeah, you got Drew McIntyre.
Dabba-Kato.
He's not really your typical big man. So who's left?
Dabba-Kato.
But he's down.
Dabba-Kato. Almost. Oh, you mean that they're just... it's not like he's down and not going to be on TV. They're just having to go train more there. You're still going to see Keith Lee on Raw.
Who's the big guys on TV that are working like the typical big man that we used to see growing up?
Otis.
Otis
is a big man.
He's not working the big man style.
Yeah, that's true.
What are you talking about? He lifts guys up for body slams and spins.
Caterpillar.
He does splashes in the corner. He does all big man moves. He does a Vader bomb, for fuck's sake. What the hell are you talking about? He doesn't work like a big man.
Can he do a moonsault?
He can't.
Although Keith Lee
can't do that. I think I've seen Keith Lee do a moonsault. I'm pretty damn sure I have. In NXT.
Kato hasn't been on television since Raw Underground, since he got the shit beat out of him
by
Braun
Strowman.
Strowman.
His fucking ass embarrassed by Braun Strowman. I wouldn't be surprised if he's washing cars. What the hell? Why would he be? I thought he retired. I was surprised to see his name on that list. I don't. I wouldn't come back if I was Dabba-Kato. Well, how embarrassing! He was hyped up like he was Peter McNeely getting then got his ass kicked by Mike Tyson.
Honestly,
Just sad.
AJ's bodyguard's the only one that's really working a good big man style.
Oh,
Yeah,
I hope he's
Pinball
just
Pizza
going
from
down.
Retribution loses every single week.
Pizza?
Pinball Pizza is not. It was Pinball. What's his name? T-Bar. T-Ball.
No. Now,
T-Bar.
well, who's the not
No.
T-Bar or Slapjack one?
Restoration.
Restoration Hardware. You got Pier 1, Slapjack, IKEA. What's that guy's name? He was the announcer on Raw that got F5 by Brock Lesnar.
Was it really him? Is that him?
Yes. What was his
You know
name?
what's funny is every single time
Brad
we have
Maddox?
I have to Google Retribution names because I can never remember them.
Mace Windu. That's his name. And he's being retooled. Do you think Retribution would have beaten the Oddities in a Survivor Series match, Vin Man?
No.
You would have taken Golga over T-Bar?
Yes, 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 yes.
Wired
If
was a
Retribution
good
can get
member of the
themselves a group to
Oddities.
sing out to them like the Insane Clown Posse, then they
What?
Made. If they could get some sort of musical group to sing out and bring them out. Maybe
You know what I'm gonna
would be
do?
doing-
If I'd be great if. Well, I like that Mustafa Ali's like every week coming this closer and closer. Mustafa Ali is coming closer and closer to punching Mia Yim in the head for losing every week. And then he's just gonna get fed up and be like, "I'm bringing the Insane Clown Posse to help me ruin this show." And that's his next step. He's one step away.
Not Mia Yim, by the way. It's Crank.
Oh, it's
No, Reckoning.
Reckoning. These are names that you give your character if you're a teenager wrestling in your backyard at 13.
No, we could have put Retribution on that list that you were talking about before they actually made their debut, I would say.
Oh, when they were just fucking shit up and destroying the set when they had
Yeah,
20 other
hasn't-
members.
Taking
It
a
hasn't
chainsaw
gone
to the
good
ring
since.
ropes.
Oh, I don't know.
This is
That's a low light. That's a low light of
Who's
2020.
having a worse year, the World or Reckoning?
Reckoning's having a rough one, especially if Dana Brooks in the ring with her. Okay, well, actually, bonus headline real quick. Vin, man, someone on Twitter hit us up at the Brainbusters, tweet it, read it, tout it, shout it, be all about it, and said, "Do you think Brock Lesnar in AEW would be cool?"
Yeah, of course. Anytime we get to see Brock Lesnar.
Well, that's coming from people. Like, I agree, and then that's coming from people who thought Brock Lesnar in WWE was cool. I'm very curious to see who didn't think Brock Lesnar in WWE was cool. How cool they would think AEW having Brock Lesnar would be.
I will say this though. I mean, who's the opponent? If you do have him there, or maybe just bring him out
It's
as
got to
an
be Brian
attraction.
Cage. That's it, right?
All right. Yep.
No.
There's the match. Sign me up.
Jake
The only match
Hager.
I want to see.
Or
Jake Hager.
Maybe,
Undefeated. Undefeated in MMA, not in pro wrestling. I want to see
but I don't
Brock
know.
start his own
I don't know if Brock
podcast
wants to
first.
come back
though.
right now. He always did it for the fans. With no fans, really, does he even want to come back?
I want to see Brock start a podcast first. Just talking about farm life,
18-foot walls around his property.
just doing his own thing. Then he starts getting like bow and arrow sponsors.
If only
And then-
there was a company that could.
Why
sell
would I
that
do a
out for him.
podcast?
Actually, Brock Lesnar, if you're listening, go to prettyeasypodcast.com right now. www.prettyeasypodcast. Brock, I know you don't use the internet yourself, so tell Sable or Paul, go to prettyeasypodcast.com and you'll get that shit set up perfectly. You walk in, you talk into the microphone, you leave. No one's going to bother you. That's the way to do it.
Do you think
and then,
Brock even watches AEW right now, by the way?
No.
He probably doesn't know what it is.
Do you think Brock Lesnar gets TNT?
I'm sure he gets it.
Why
but
would
he
I
probably
watch
doesn't
the show?
watch it.
Yeah, no. What's on
Well, Brock
TNT
Lesnar in
other than
AEW. The Snowpiercer. I know that. And NBA
Like
basketball.
somebody who pierces nipples in ice.
Kind of. It's about a train going through a hellscape that's all snow in the future, and each car is a different class. So they get so like the back is like Michael Nakazawa,
Okay, I'm sorry I
and then
asked.
you go up,
My apologies.
and then it's TH2, and then you get up, and then like the front of it's Inner Circle, and then Cody, like that. You know, like tiers. Cody versus Brock Lesnar would probably what gets booked, Vin-Man.
That would be embarrassing.
If you want to make one of your biggest looking individuals look small, you put Cody next to Brock Lesnar. That's what you do.
Cody is he's
dude's trash, man.
This guy, yeah, the guy's trash, bro. But
why would you say that about the American Nightmare? And plus, so what are you mad though that he's like gonna gun and try to get Sting to face him and be Sting's big match? He's probably gonna be the guy that retires Sting.
Sting.
I'm okay with that.
Obviously still has some issues with the Rhodes family. That's what that's about.
I'm okay with anyone other than Seth Rollins retiring Sting.
That's true. When you think about what happened in WWE, that's great. You're right. So, we'll real quick, we'll finish off on Vin Man. Sting's appearance. He looked at Darby Allin. He kind of brushed off Cody. What do you think is happening with Sting?
It's Sting!
It's a lot of questions still. I mean, obviously there's some issues with Darby Allin. Obviously still some issues with the Rhodes family. Of course, problems with Arn Anderson still. That'll never be forgiven. I think he goes after Arn Anderson first, and then progresses on to Darby Allin, and then Cody.
If Sting has remember when Cody was a free agent, he had that list of names that he wanted to get down with. If Sting has a list of AEW names he wants to get down with, what's on that list?
Arn Anderson, number 1. I told you.
Alley
Double A.
Cat, too.
You mean the bunny?
Sure, whatever her name is. No, Allie.
I think the Butcher.
Allie. Is she a bunny and not a cat?
No, she's the bunny. And she with the Butcher and the Blade, who I predict the Butcher and Sting would have a hell of a gimmick match. I want a cinematic match between the Butcher and Sting. I want the Butcher just chopping meat in some fucking disgusting butcher shop that might be a human body. Sting walking in with the bat, just knocking it all off and just beating his ass with it. Knocking just dancing in the background though, like he does now in AEW. Lance Archer could be the man that retires Sting, or Eddie Kingston. Who do you think? What about you, Wired? What do you expect from Sting from what you saw? He doesn't give a shit. He's already seen him at Survivor Series.
I was there at Survivor Series.
Yeah, I saw him at Survivor
Series. I had my
Series.
Sting eye moment. I also saw him at WrestleMania. Only one person currently on this show can say those things. Well, actually,
I saw him at WrestleMania.
No,
I've never been in attendance for a Sting victory. I say that. That's what I'm hoping for in 2021. I can go somewhere and watch Sting win a match. Unless it's against Darby Allin, because I'll be rooting for Darby in that one. Who, when they showed the Rorschach of Sting for him, he just laughed. I loved. What is it? What does that make you feel, Vin Man, knowing that there's you're a little Stinger, and there's a bunch of kids out there that are little Darbys.
I think one clearly outweighs the other.
I don't know. We'll see what the future holds for Darby Allin. But Brainiacs, that is going to about do it for this week's show. But before we get out of here, we do need to get a little bloody. We run things in this sport. Dallas Boys on top, but Brainbuster Radio is the pulse of professional wrestling, and we're going to tell it like it is as we shed some blood here. Falls count anywhere.
Me? Sure. Okay. Brainiacs, it is I, a man called Wired, and what do I have to say? Man, I don't know. I really don't know, except the fact that for some odd reason in this entire episode, we didn't mention TLC. And it's 1 week away. Why?
The hell
what's wrong? Why? What's going on that we are not mentioning Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens? What's going on that we're not mentioning Drew McIntyre versus someone? Or that that Asuka is not facing anybody for her women's championship, like ever, it seems like. Or I don't even know. Doesn't matter. What's going on? So if we're not talking about it, how's it going to get any better?
Let me tell you something, Brainiac, right now. We're coming to the end of 2020. It's an unprecedented year in the world of professional wrestling. And I want to talk about two individuals that deserve a whole lot of credit for their performances this year. Guys that don't get talked about enough. And I'm talking about Arturo Ruas and Riddick Moss. These guys saved professional wrestling this year as far as I'm concerned. It was at its lowest point, maybe ever. And the excitement that they brought to that ring with no ropes each and every week was just unprecedented. And I thank you guys for the work that you put in. And that, if without that, we wouldn't be talking about, all these historic moments that we saw this past week. Oh, my brother, testify.
Did you really think that I got back into this business to do a podcast? Goodbye, mwah, and good night. Oh my God, it's so great. Bang!
Brainiacs. Maybe we didn't talk about TLC all show because other big shit's going on, and in professional wrestling, it is very difficult now with so much going on to look that far ahead, even if it's just 1 week away. But don't think it's not in the purview. It's not on the radar. It's not being planned for here at Brainbuster Radio. AJ Styles could end 2020 as the champion of the WWE. Do you realize what kind of bookend of a year that would be? Going from being buried by The Undertaker, the Instagram star, the cameo savant, The Undertaker, and that low, and finishing it on a high where you're the champion. The only way that could happen, though, is if that almost pays off. Almost. Keep an eye on him. Even though he's being sent back down because he's got to stay on that rookie deal, if he goes back down, gets retooled, and learns the claw, I'm telling you, AJ Styles might have the most powerful nuclear weapon in all of pro wrestling with that almost. I got my eye on them for sure. But if this week it's all about the champion of the world in AEW, Kenny Omega, the best wrestler in the world, making history. And as someone who loves the big dog's my number one. I have to give it to Kenny Omega now as the world's number one for what he did on Impact, for the memories he's making, and above all that, for having the best goddamn entrance in all of professional wrestling. The Nitro Girls may be long gone, but because of Kenny Omega, we now have the Broom Girls, and we have the most interesting shit happening in pro wrestling that we've seen in a very, very long ass time. And it is a great time to be a pro wrestling fan.
Saying that right now it's a great time to be a fan of pro wrestling, even though we can't go really to watch professional wrestling.
Exactly, Wired. It's so great to be a pro wrestling fan right now because we're experiencing new things. I feel like every week's a first and maybe a last, and hopefully in some regards it is a last. But in other regards, these firsts have been great, and I can't wait to see how they change the business. We might see a war game. What if we see a war games between Impact and AEW, Vin Man? You know, when Finn Balor lets team sports come back.
I've been talking about that this past week, just sizing up who the teams might be, and probably in the next episode of Brainbuster Radio, I'll break all that down for everybody.
Something we have to probably look at is, at the end of this year, is which wrestlers are going to wish 2020 never existed.
Oh, I know for sure. Reckoning. Reckoning's on top of that list. And then, I don't know. Everyone else might be. Maybe Luke Gallows. Although he's having a good time in Impact. We'll see what happens with them. And Kenny Omega being involved now, too. Those good brothers. Carl Anderson tonight. After this, we finish this live on tape show in just seconds. I'm watching Triple Mania. And we've got Final Resolution, Vin, man. We got to stream and watch that together. Maybe a little watch-along action.
Yeah, I'll be watching that at some point.
One word for you. Chess man.
Yeah, I've seen a picture of that guy.
And some people think that's Wolfpack Sting.
Bobby Fischer.
It looks like him.
Oh yeah, Bobby Fish doesn't want 2020.
And there has been multiple Stings, so...
There have been. Well, Brainiacs, I just want to say I'm glad none of you were casualties of war games. We didn't even get into.
Chance you don't make it out, by the way. 25%.
We didn't even get into people saying how horrible the training is in NXT, that someone gets hurt every takeover, Wired. But I didn't want to trigger you too much and get you that hot. I look at his face already. We'll save it for the next one, Brainiacs. Maybe with Triple J's back.
I'm so glad we're on different Twitters. I'm so happy. Thank you, Twitter algorithms, to keep me and Long Island Iced Tea on different Twitter spectrums.
Milcalsonis, thank you for doing a bust-ass job. We love you, and you're the best. May you forever be on top of the show.
Gallus boys on top.
Well, after Gallus. Joe Coffey coming up slowly but surely. Back to that UK title picture. I'll keep you updated, Vin Man. Just hit me up. All right, Brainiacs, we got to go. Anything left, Vin Man?
No coffee.
What about the wild boar Mike Hitchman? Oh, there's so much to say. Brainiacs. We got to go, though. Wired, anything left? Tweet it, read it, tout it, shout it, be all about it at the Brainbusters.
At the Brainbusters, check it out. That's always great. And we're number one in our demo. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, well, all the demos were number one. All the demos. The dad demo, the skinny losers with skinny wieners demo, the cool guys with lots of money demo. We own it all. The hot chicks demo, witches. They all listen to Brainbuster Radio.
5 remote demo.
Oh, the do stuff while your laptop's on your chest while you're laying in bed demo. That's all right here on Brainbuster Radio, Brainiacs. For Vin Man Unlimited Dates, Moose the Mark on the internet gimmicks, really upset about some things going on in WWE. A man called Wired, the Sultan of social media. Jumpin' Jacob J, who's fixing to bring some new tunes to the show. He told me a lot of big surprises from Triple J coming up. Mil Calzonos on the Unos and the Doses. And Long Island Iced Tea. I'm Long Island Iced Tea saying, I got to get the hell out of here and watch some Pro Graps and mostly NXT UK because Gallus Boys on top. Joe Coffey.